What up, LK Mafia? It's your boy Artofkickz. Just like that, we back with another one. Alright, y'all. So, as promised, I'm going to be getting back to some more of these top 10 people who outlived their prison sentences. Well, nothing else to say. Let's just get into it. Y'all boys and girls ready? I'm ready. London, give it to us.
How's it going, YouTube? I'm Landon, and this is...
I said London.
The top...
My bad, Landon.
10 people who outlived insane prison sentences, part 3. And also, please let me know if you like this series. If you guys want a part 4 as well, put hashtag part 4 please, and I'll make it if there's enough demand. And also hit the like button if you like this channel. Okay, let's not waste any more time here. Let's get right into it. Let's use a get out of jail card at number 10. We're starting off with a wild story about Lima-Marin, who was sentenced to 98 years in prison back in 1998 for a robbery while using a gun. The gun was actually not loaded and no one was hurt, but for some reason he was sentenced harshly to 98 years in prison. Lima was 19 years old at the time. Well, it was a shock when after just 10 years in 2008, Lima was released from prison. 6 years after being released, a former prosecutor realized that Lima was released from prison by mistake. So he was sent back where he was sentenced, he was resentenced. During the time he was out of jail, Lima was able to turn his life around. He got a job, he even got married. Lima has been in prison ever since that incident, and this has become a really high profile case, and it leaves us with a lot of questions. Well, this guy has now served a total of 19 years. He served his time. He didn't hurt anyone. He didn't even have bullets in his gun. There was no intent there. And when he was
That's messed up.
released, he showed that he has changed his life around, so why keep him in prison?
That's so messed up. This is what I'm talking about, y'all, with the dang prison system. I meant the court system. This is what I'm talking about. This man proved that he could turn his life around. He got out of prison, got a whole woman, and had kids. And y'all put him back in jail just because y'all wrongfully took him out? Y'all wrong. Y'all wrong. Wrong. God. Infuriate me.
What do you guys think about this whole thing? The public is now behind this man, so he's probably going to be released very, very soon. Number 9, we have...
He should be.
Eddie Bolden, and he's from Chicago. He's served...
It was wrongfully... he was wrong... Y'all shouldn't have put him in there in the first place. Y'all shouldn't have put him in there in the first place.
22 years behind bars for a double murder charge. Back in 1994, Eddie was convicted based on the testimony of a single eyewitness. Something doesn't seem right there. There were 3 other people who actually placed him at a different location at the time of the murders, but those witnesses never testified. Eddie spent the next few decades...
See, that's why y'all gotta testify, folks, man. Y'all gotta be testifying for folks out here, man. This man was clearly not even at the scene of the crime. But because people was like, oh, wait, yeah, he was hanging out with us. Oh, ain't no big deal. I'm not about to go in court and tell y'all he was hanging out with us. He was hanging out with us. Gotta go in there and let the folks know. Now your boy's in jail.
In the prison's law library studying his case because he knows he is innocent. His family believed his innocence as well. When Eddie went to prison, he left behind a family and his 1-year-old son. It took 22 years in prison for him to finally be innocent of the crime he was wrongfully convicted of. Eddie's life was just stripped. Eddie kept fighting hard and he was able to outlive his sentence and prove his innocence. The police should now be worried about a murderer who's been on the loose for the past 22 years. Coming out of prison.
Not just that. I'm gonna need $50,000 each year for every year I spent in prison.
Number 8, we have Kevin Charles Siehl, who served
all 22 of them years. I need $50,000 for each year.
25 years behind bars. Kevin was convicted of killing his wife back in 1991. She was found stabbed to death in her apartment. She was stabbed more than 20 times and was left in a bathtub with the water running in an effort to wash away the evidence. Kevin was the prime suspect and he was arrested and he was charged, but he has always maintained his innocence and gone as far as to file numerous appeals since his convictions. Kevin was convicted based off of blood that was found found on his personal items in the bathroom, and even on his right shoe there was blood found as well. Well, his right shoe was finally tested, and it appeared the blood on the shoe was actually his own. Kevin is now in his 60s, and he was granted a motion from the state attorney general's office to reopen the case, and the case was quickly overturned. The general's office chosen to abandon the case and ordered his release. He now has the opportunity to live out the rest of his life as normal as he can.
Oh my God, that is so messed up, man. And that happens too often, where if a woman is either, you know, she's married to a man or she's in a relationship, boyfriend, what have you, too often if something happens to that woman where she's no longer alive, they point the finger at the man. Sometimes it is the man. Sometimes, just like in a case like this one, it isn't the man. And unfortunately, like this man, so many others have did time for the crime that was committed against their spouse that they themselves didn't do. And it would hurt me so bad, so much. I can only imagine what these men go through, because for one, your love was murdered by who knows who. Maybe you know, maybe you don't know who they were, but regardless, your love was murdered, and now you're doing the time for it. That's a heartbreak on a whole nother level. I'm about to spend 16, 20, 30 years in prison for a crime I didn't commit against the woman that I love. Oh my God. I couldn't imagine. Bro, this is a crazy world we live in. Oh my God.
Society. Two of Kevin's brothers were in the courtroom when he was released. They were brought to tears. It wasn't proven that Kevin was the killer, but this case just seemed to be dropped. Maybe there was too much legal fees, or maybe there was too much embarrassment for the lack of investigation into this case. Moving into number 7,
You hear that now? That's interesting, because it's a case of the matter is he could have been the killer, but they didn't have enough evidence to really point at him. They just jumped to conclusions.
Have Clarence Moses, who was a Colorado man who was convicted of rape back in 1987. He was convicted of raping his neighbor. Clarence was sentenced to 48 years behind bars, but he only served 28 years. Now, this is where the story gets really crazy. Back during the trial, the victim told the police that she has been drinking with neighbors before she returned home, and that was the moment where she was brutally raped twice. When police initially asked her who the attacker was, she actually named 3 different men on who it could be. It could be A, B, or C. The next day, she claimed to have a dream of who the victim was. She went to the police. She says it was this guy, Clarence Moses. He was the attacker. And that was the day Clarence's life changed forever. Over the next year.
Hell no. Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. So you trying to tell me that I'm about to spend 48 years of my life, really it was only 28, but 48 years of my life in prison just because of a dream that somebody had that had nothing to do with me. The crime itself had nothing to do with me. The woman don't even know who the hell did it. She named 3, 4 other people. And then she gonna have a dream, and in the dream, I was the one that did it, when I wasn't even one of the 3 people that she named in the first place. I'm assuming based off of what I heard, that's what it sounded like. Are you kidding me? I don't know what I would do. What? This man went into prison the year I was born. And he spent all my adulthood in that mug. I mean, all my life, really. I wish. Ooh. One man. Watch your back. I ain't gonna do nothing to you, but I ain't to say that somebody won't. Watch your back.
He maintains his innocence, and Clarence tried to appeal his conviction, but it was unsuccessful. However, in the 90s, he won a legal bid for a DNA testing on the evidence to clear his name, but police actually mistakenly destroyed the evidence. I mean, is this real life right now? How do you accidentally destroy evidence? Because of the lost evidence, he wasn't released yet. Clarence's big break was actually years later, 2012, 28 years after he was sentenced. The actual victim wrote him a letter admitting he was actually the one who had sex with her that night. I mean, what a sick story. Why let a guy serve 28 years for your wrongdoing and then you write him a letter in prison much later? Now,
somebody wrote this man a fool. My words are getting scrambled. Somebody wrote this man a letter. The actual person that did it wrote the man in prison. Say, hey, bro, I'm sorry. Sorry you in there for a crime that I actually did. Yeah, it was actually me. I'm sorry. I feel bad. I've been feeling bad all these years. But hey, how's prison? I'm out here in the free world, you know, living life. You know, I got me a job and stuff. Hope you're all right in there. I'm glad it ain't me, but I hate that it's you. But, yeah. Talk to you soon. Write me back.
now at number 6, we have Glenn, who was wrongfully convicted for murder, and he served 30 years because of it. So Glenn was released, and to say, sorry for the mistake, he was given a $30 gift card. I mean, is this real life?
Oh, hell no. Some people get $50,000 for each year they spend in prison. This fool got $1 for each year he spent in prison. And not even in the form of money. They gave this fool a gift card. What the hell am I supposed to do with a gift card? How long y'all expect me to live off this gift card? Where is it to? Applebee's? Target? Walmart, I hope. I at least get a little bit more than I would at Target. What? I'm suing. And I'm suing for $50K for each year that I was in there. Do the math. 50,000 times 30. That's up there over $1 million. That's what I know. That's all I know.
For now, this is just so disrespectful. $30? Well, luckily under the Louisiana law where he was in prison, he's actually entitled to a lot more. Well, $400,000 worth in compensation for the time he spent in solitary confinement.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
At a notorious maximum security facility. This is still not enough money in my opinion. You should be entitled to millions of dollars because...
I agree. I need at least $2 million. But if y'all little thing jacked up to where y'all only gonna give me $400K, I'll take it. I want $2 million. I'm suing for $2 million. You gonna give me the $400K and I'm still suing for the rest.
For the past 30 years, this man was on death row with very limited privileges in prison. This story made big headline news and Glenn was interviewed on 60 Minutes. Moving into number 5, we have Lawrence McGinney, who is from Tennessee. He was released from prison back in 2009 after DNA evidence ruled him out as a suspect. It's just too bad that they couldn't rule this out, 31 years ago when he was sentenced. This is absolutely insane. It took investigators, police officers, judges, jury members 31 years to...
He looked familiar.
Figure out that Lawrence is an innocent man. Right now, Lawrence is fighting for an exoneration case that could grant him $1 million in compensation. So,
yes, you need it, brother. You deserve it.
So far, he's been denied twice. Lawrence was convicted of rape and burglary back in 1978, and he was sentenced to prison for 115 years. Just imagine that.
You kidding me? If I go to jail or prison for something I didn't do, give me my money.
When he was sentenced, I mean, an innocent person, and you just found out, you just been sentenced for 115 years. When Lawrence was finally released from jail, he was issued $75. I mean, what the heck is he gonna do with that? Hopefully he uses that money to make a ton of phone calls to the right people. A man who served...
That's what I would do. That's exactly what I would do with that money. Because what the heck else I'm gonna do with it? I can't survive with it. I can't survive. $75. What the...
35 years in prison without a trial strangely comes into this list at number 4. It just doesn't make sense. What? We're talking about Jerry Hartfield, whose case was very extraordinary. When Jerry was released from prison, he was one of the most unlikely prisoners ever to be freed in Texas.
I'm irritated at the fact that this is happening to so many black men. Innocent black men. Y'all see this mess? Y'all see this mess? Do y'all see this mess?
He wasn't exonerated. He wasn't even released on parole. He didn't even finish up his sentence because there really wasn't a sentence for this man. Let me explain. Texas actually just gave up on this case and allowed Jared to be a free man, which makes absolutely no sense to me. When I was researching this, I took a deep dive onto this one. Jared was waiting 35 years between trials without a conviction. He was simply just forgotten about in the system. This does happen, and I'm thinking I might make a top 10 video of like top 10 prisoners who were just forgotten about in prison for decades. Let me know if that's a good idea. Well, Jared was put into prison because of a murder, but there was no evidence that like this was the guy. He was just sentenced to prison. He could have been the guy. The length of the prison stay wasn't announced. In fact, he was supposed to get a new trial in 1980 after an appeals court reversed his conviction and death sentence because of a flaw during the jury selection. But now he's out due to a fellow prisoner and a public defender who discovered a huge mistake 35 years later. Alright, just
35 years later. I'm not even 35.
like that, number 3, we have a man who's been in prison for 41 years, and he becomes the first Detroit juvenile lifer to get a second life. This right here is Elliam Washington, and back in 19...
I don't even want it. Y'all done took all my good years. All my good years. All the ladies I could have had. I could have had some kids. Y'all done took them. Y'all just leave me in there.
75. When he was just 17 years old, he decided to rob a record store along with 26-year-old Kenneth Rucker. There was a scuffle with
Sound like he did it though. Oops.
the store owner, and this resulted in the store owner being shot to death. Because of this, William received a life without parole sentence for first-degree murder, as well as a second life sentence for armed robbery. Well, 41 years later, he was given a second chance at life. Okay, I want to turn this question to you guys. Let me ask you, what do you guys think about juveniles who commit horrible crimes? Should they have a second chance at life? Let me know.
Not if they take a life. I don't know about that. I don't. It's hard. We had this conversation last time. I'm on the fence. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. What do y'all think? I need y'all to comment down below. Do you feel a juvenile child that committed a horrendous act of violence or something against another human being deserves a second chance at life? Comment down below, because I'm still torn. I don't know. I feel like if I was that juvenile child that did that, I would definitely want a second chance. But at the same time, being the victim or being the victims, the family members of the person who was, killed or murdered, I don't know if I would want that child to have a second chance. It just depends. It just depends. I feel like if I can, you know what? Let's say this, because I'm thinking about the case of the woman who her son was killed by a boy that was close to her son's age, and she would visit that boy in prison, and she saw the boy becoming and growing into a man, a better man, and then when the boy got out, she adopted the boy. That's crazy to think. She adopted her son's killer, and he got a second chance. So it just depends on the individual and if they're capable of doing and being better.
Your thoughts in the comment section below. Number 2, just like number 3, we have another teen killer who has been released. This person was released in Spring Garden Township, which is located in Pennsylvania. We're talking about Scott Griffin, who was found guilty of first-degree murder for fatally shooting his ex-girlfriend, 17-year-old Linda Hagen. And this was back in 1974. Scott was only 16 years old at the time. Scott was serving a mandatory life sentence for the murder, but now he has been paroled. This actually makes him the first juvenile lifer from York County to be released from prison since a significant ruling from the U.S. Supreme Court. Back in 2012, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that it is unconstitutional to impose automatic life sentences for those who commit crimes before turning 18 years old. So this is when Scott was released after 40...
So there's an answer for us. There is an answer right there.
3 years behind bars, he was able to outlive his insane life sentence. Now he's in his 70s, and there isn't much to life that he's able to do. And finally, at number 1...
He should have thought before he pulled the trigger on his girlfriend. Dumb. You don't take someone's life because you're mad at them. People. Put them under the jail. Put them under the jail. Sorry, I don't have any more of those shirts. They're all sold out.
We have Joseph Ligon. Joseph has been behind bars since he was 16 years old back in the 60s. That's about 11 presidents ago. The first person has been to space. Joseph is 79 years old, which makes him the oldest living juvenile offender, and also he has served the longest sentence of any other juvenile offender. That's for sure a record that you don't want to beat. At 16 years old, Joseph took part in a murder of 2 men in Philadelphia. He was sentenced to life in prison without possibility of parole. But because the recent U.S. Supreme Court decision that deemed a mandatory life sentence for juvenile offenders unconstitutional, this means Joseph now has a chance to be released from prison. And
that's crazy. He was able to live to the point where they decided, hey, this is unconstitutional. This is not right. Hey, we're going to send it. No mandatory sentencing of juveniles under the age of 18. No mandatory life sentences. That's not right. He got to live to that point. Oh, snap. Wait, they done changed this rule? You're telling me I'm 70 years old and I can leave now. Hey, let's go. I'm out of here. See ya. Peace. I ain't killing nobody else. I don't want to be back in here with y'all clowns.
Any time now. Well, actually, he was already given the chance to be placed on parole immediately, but he declined. The reason why is because he doesn't want to be paroled and just be placed on probation. He wants to serve out his time and just be released as a free man. Well, there you guys have it. Thank you guys so much.
That makes sense. I mean, for him to even think like that, that's crazy. You've only ever been in prison since you were 16 years old, and you had the notion, the thought to be like, yo, that parole mess is a joke, man. I'd rather be released as a free man. Don't give me parole. That makes perfect sense. I understand that. He probably had so many men come and go in and out of the prison system who told him about their experiences and told them, hey, man, yo, this parole thing, they screw you up with this parole thing. You be out there for a little while, and then you make the slightest little hiccup. You take a drink, a sip of some alcohol with some friends of yours, and bloop, now you back in here. Look. Smart man. I guess I don't know what I would do in that case. Anyway, y'all know what time it is. Like this reaction, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for more. As always, the link to the video is gonna be down in the description box below. If you haven't already, make sure you follow your boy on the ground, man, Twitter at Artofkickz. And I will catch y'all in the next one.